Hello, hello, my beloved waking gods and goddesses. Welcome to Love, Truth, and Beauty. Maria West here, and this is episode 403 and my 19th installment of the video series Conversations with Women. And I have with me today a special guest, Elaine Miles, who is an author. And this is a departure from how I usually do things. I know nothing about her other than she was ballsy and courageous to reach out to me on the Facebook about wanting to guest on the YouTube channel. And I admire that. And she was polite, she was forthcoming. She sent me her information, and I'm a busy person. I cruised it, but I was just so inspired by her spunk and her tenacity and the fact that she's out there doing some great work. So, Elaine Miles, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm happy
Thank
that
you
you're
so
here.
much.
So, why don't you tell our viewers a little
Sure.
and a lot about yourself?
Okay. Well, it's been a multifaceted journey, and I will be 65 in a few weeks. So it was time. Yay! I know.
I know,
The
sixty-five is
reaching
good.
the crown status, right? I'm so proud of that, as we all should be at this age group. And so my path, like I said, it was a multifaceted one. And I think, and I'm a new author. I've, shape shifted throughout life because that's the only way I knew how to work this life. If I didn't heed my intuitions and passions, I would get symptoms of clinical depression. And when I first began getting them, it certainly, was a hard road because this was back in the 80s, and my mother had suffered from mental illness. So, uh, you know, it was. I'm going to just read a little bit. So,
Please,
carving out what? Oh,
please,
okay.
please do.
Yeah, carving out a life has been an adventure. I ignored some rules, dropped the shoulds, and learned to follow an inner guidance. Getting fired, getting arrested, being committed to a psych hospital with a backdrop of numerous college degrees and professional ventures while embroiled in the anguish of child custody lawsuit and pursuing sexual freedom and navigating the dating scene. It's all there. Many tragic experience could have led to a miserable existence. I held on to a deep knowing that all circumstances in life were designed to groom me for the real skills needed for a peaceful life. Each drama was a lesson in refining the edges of my personality. Each loss taught me a valuable lesson. I learned that I didn't need to live on the edge. And ultimately, I cultivated the wisdom that mystics teach.
Beautiful, beautiful. That was awesome. Will you tell us the title of your book?
Oh, it's called Razing Elaine with a Z, tumbling, stumbling. Oh, yeah, tumbling. This misprint is it's called Raising Elaine, stumbling, tumbling, fumbling, breaking through.
Sweet,
Yeah,
sweet.
this is the proof copy. I got it just the other day, but
Yeah,
it's now available to order.
cool, cool. And we will have all your information in the
Oh.
show notes below. All right. So wherever you want to start, let's hear all about it.
Okay, so there are takeaways that, I didn't just write it to talk about myself. That, this book was a prophecy that I would hear about over and over again every time I would go for a reading in the past 20 years. The first thing they would say after the cards were on the table was, okay, I see a book. And it didn't matter what astrologer I went to, this would always arise. And it got to the point where I'd say, well, I know about the book, but I'm not writing it. I can't write a book. It's too much work. I have no idea how to write a book. So I said, can we go to the next thing? And then last year, I put aside making ceramics and found objects because I just was like, okay, I'm bordering on a hoarder. I'm bordering on becoming a hoarder if I don't stop this right now. And I was invited to some art shows, but I'm not a schlepper, you know. And I'm like, I'm really not. That's not the road I'm meant to go down. I was nice to get recognized, but okay, let's close this chapter. And then I was open to whatever was next. That's the way I roll. And then I said to my higher self one night before going to bed, I said, you know what? I'm open to writing. I don't feel resistance because I stopped pushing years ago. I learned that when things come across my path and they resonate, then I act on those kinds of things. Yeah, I'm not like a aggressive, go-getter, ambitious kind of person. That just, I don't want to you're working against the natural law when
Yes. The
when you
flow.
push. Yes. So my lifestyle is I've established a lifestyle that I flow and I balance, some work here, some, lots of, choral singing is my happy place. I do offer massage and intimacy coaching as well as sex surrogacy. So, but it's not a rapid turnover kind of bit, it's just like here and there. And then I have time for me. And because self-care has to be number one. When you have a mental illness diagnosis like clinical depression or anxiety, both, yeah, self-care has to be at the top.
Mhm.
And you have to say no to things. And I've never had a problem saying no, but I have had a problem holding on to relationships and friendships because self-care is my number one priority. And it's misinterpreted as narcissism. And I'm like, no, I'm self-centered because I have to stay healthy. If I don't monitor my sleep and get it, if I don't eat well, if I drink alcohol, that this is not going to work for me. And
Indeed.
I want to enjoy my days and be as, centered as I can be and have as much energy as I can have. And so, yeah, so it's misinterpreted many times. Um,
I call it self-full.
yeah, self-full sounds very, yeah, that is a good term.
Yeah. And it's a
Mhm.
learned skill. It's a
Yeah.
learned skill. It is a daily practice because, women in our generation, because we are the same age, we had a lot of mixed messages, the be all that you can be, fake feminism, be the sex kitten, the sex pot. I mean, Lord have mercy. It's like, where do you go? We did
Well,
it all.
speaking to that, I had all those personas, and many people have several personas. But as I needed to find an outlet for them, so uh, this wasn't on a conscious level. This was like I've got it. I don't know. I guess I never knew that I was an artist, but I've always been an artist. And that's where the moods would come in where, oh, I'm not happy. What? I
Ah.
have to do
Mhm.
something. And then I became a belly dancer in the 80s after I divorced my abusive husband who could not tolerate someone with a mental illness. It was just like too much for him. We were both kids, anyway. Got married at I was 19, he was 21, Catholic girl, got pregnant, going to get married, have the baby, have another one, and then go in and out of psych units because it's not working out. I can't, they called it adjustment disorder to married life. That's what
Isn't
I
that interesting?
Yeah. And I said, well, like, is it a disorder if it's not your thing, you know? Maybe it's just
Yeah,
not your thing. Why does it have to be a
exactly.
disorder? It was never my dream. And here I found myself pregnant because I didn't want to identify as a bad girl and talk about protection. It was the good girl versus the
Ah,
bad girl phenomenon that,
Yes.
was playing itself out. So I got pregnant. And, I raised myself, and I always believed in consequences. If I screwed up, uh, I would lose if I lost a bathing suit. I lost two bathing suits in the dressing room. I don't know how. And then I would just wear like a t-shirt that, oh, well, you lost your bathing suit. That's all. I was my own parent. I never asked my parents. I told my parents, oh, I lost my bathing suits. It was just like, okay, this is what we do. We deal with it like this. Um, and so yeah, so when I got pregnant, it was like, okay, we deal with this. We try raising them, we get married and everything else. Um, and I started on an original train of thought and hopped over to this one.
It
Maybe
works
you
for
can pull.
me. It works for me.
So what I was saying before was I didn't write the book for myself. It was prophesized, and all I did was say I'm open to it. The next morning, I was looking at Instagram. Daily Om has daily prompts. I said, well, what do you know? Okay, this is coming across the path. Perfect synchronicity. Signed up and started writing to the prompts, and then joined some writing groups. Not right away, but I had, so anyway, a wonderful woman. She was word magic guru, had it was guesting on many YouTube channels. She has since passed. She was elderly. So greatly influenced me with her word magic and how the coding of the English language undermines our life force. Brilliant at decoding the double meanings and also the episteme, I can't say the word, the
I know what you're saying.
origin. Yeah. And yeah, Laurel Erica it was spelled with air. She was a fairy. She was a modern day fairy, and she could cross over in dimensions. And so her mission was, I don't know if her site's probably there, World Magic. Her mission was to, upgrade the software of the English language because how detrimental it was. For example, when we say hello, well, hell, you know, just the work week, we're weak.
Mm.
And then our week ends. We're using the word weak. And so many times when we speak and the words we use have low vibrations. So her body of work is phenomenal. And I really hope someone is going to carry it on. Anyway, so yeah, so I started writing, and Laurel, I had signed on to her website to get her newsletter, and so she would have these sacred circle writing circles, and I always overlooked them, but this time I said I'm going to join, and I did, and that's how the support I started receiving support
Mhm.
for my writing, and I'm like, and they were like really like you got to take this somewhere, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't know, but so then I got on the path. So I knew it was synchronistic that I was on the
Mhm.
path, and I knew that the universe would reveal what the next steps were. And so my job was just like to continue like coming, the stories were coming to me and just putting them in documents and then seeing, then learning a little bit about the book world. How does it really work and everything? There's so much to learn, fortunately. And then I would say I'm not writing a book. I'm just writing, because wasn't finding the resources, and it wasn't the right time. Then when it was the right time, a client came to me and he said, I went on Fiverr when I wrote a book and found an editor. And I said, okay, thank you very much. That's supposed to happen. I'm going to check into that. And it worked out. I got a wonderful developmental editor. She
Mhm.
would she would sometimes tear the whole story up on a computer, or send me back the Word document and I would rework it. So she taught me a lot. And yeah, and so that worked for about 6 8 months. We were working together. And then it was when that was finished, it went to another editor on Fiverr, a copy editor. as you're familiar, you wrote a book.
Mhm.
So,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And so now, then it was finding someone who could put it on Amazon and yeah, so, and the money, the investment of it all, but and so in the beginning, I say that like about the takeaways, because these are it's really a social commentary on many topics that I live through. Like I said already, the good girl, bad girl syndrome, the Catholicism influence. That's that's just like the very first story. I get into sex work and how that occurred. I was a school teacher.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that since a lot of my work is focused in on hand-holding survivors of trafficking. And I have worked personally with hundreds of sex workers who have transitioned out of that. And these were not sex workers that chose it. They were
Oh,
taken
well,
into it and
that,
dragged into it.
yeah.
So let's talk about your journey. I'm very
Well,
interested in
my
that.
journey into sex work was, well, okay, so in 2005, I left conventional work. I was a medical coder, I was a school teacher, and now I was out on disability for depression. And it was like, okay, what am I going to do next? So I thought I would be an interior decorator, and a friend of mine, a former boyfriend, hired me. And when I put about 20 holes in the wall to hang a picture, I just collapsed laughing. I said, "This is not working. I'm never going to be a decorator." I eye things at home, but this was something you couldn't eye. You had to measure because I had two
Oh my
holes.
God. So
I
no
just kept putting
levels
them
were involved. No levels were involved.
yeah, no levels, nothing. I don't use anything like that. Anyway,
Oh my
so then
God, you're
I
funny.
was like back to the drawing board and starting surreptitious. There's another word. Okay, whatever. So I was volunteering at a theater that night. I wasn't going to go. It was a rainy night, and it was a highway to get the highway to get there. I said, "Go, go." Something my inner voice said to go. Met up with a couple who suggested I go into makeup artistry. I knew this was the universe and the law of attraction at work, and I said, okay, I'm going to consider something along those lines. And then I found esthetician. Oh, I always liked going to spas. I'll go to school for this. I know I don't want to be an employee, so I don't know what's going to come of this, but it made me feel like forward motion. And that's always the sign that, great, I'm getting back
Yes.
into life. So went to school for that and did learn massage techniques, did put up a website called Spa for You, and everyone wanted massages and they were men. So, okay, I'll focus on massage and I can't talk into a facial. How about a body wrap? No, I want a massage. So after doing the massages, I would, and then I would start to get propositioned. And to which I would say, no, I'm a professional, that kind of thing. And then since I wasn't collecting a regular paycheck, I've always been, money has always been an emotional component in me, and in many people.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
in the way it, and the way it affects me is I get hypomanic, which is my libido goes up and all of a sudden I'm in this, my judgment goes down. So then
Well,
when the
it's second
proposition,
chakra stuff.
yeah,
Second
yeah,
chakra doesn't really care about ethics necessarily.
yeah. Well, and this was before I did energy work or any. Now I do Kundalini yoga every morning, and I've had help, transformations amazingly. No more migraines or anything. But then I started saying yes, and I racked the price up 3 times what I was charging,
You go,
and
girl.
I was enjoying it. Let me tell you, because I had this sex drive, I was like a man. I would go to sleep at night and have wet dreams. I mean, if I had can we say the word?
Yeah, say whatever you want. Say it again.
If I had a cock, there was a dream once. I felt like I was getting an erection because was seeing so many erections that
Yes.
in my dream, you know, I had a penis and it was and I was experiencing the same kind of experience my clients were. So I was not, judging my way in any way, shape, or form.
Good for
And
you.
no one was putting any pressure on me. It was strictly up to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
No.
no, it was if I said no, this wasn't happening, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, this was
Good
not
on
a
you, Elaine. Oh my
well,
God.
this was the situation that was my baby. I'm the one in charge here. And, then I got into offering role plays and I put a site up, time for play. And I could be a nurse who gave
Sweet.
prostate massages. I could be an executive who gave out reprimands. I could be a school teacher who gave or a dominatrix that gave spankings. Well, I had this all on the internet. And lo and behold, one day I open the door for a client. He comes in, puts the money on the table, tells me what he wants. And next thing you know, I've got 6 men coming into my home and cop cars in the front and the back.
Oh
So it turns
shit.
out the Vice Squad had been investigating me because with all these personas I was putting up on the website and costumes, they, must have they thought I had an operation going.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh my
So they
God.
arrested me. It was a Friday afternoon. It was a rainy, dreary winter day, and I was just like, and I had to leave. They arrested me, put me in handcuffs, and I had to, leave my condo. And all I could hope was that Sheila, my neighbor, wasn't looking out because she was the nosy one, uh, or anyone else for that matter. But so I was booked and processed and the whole deal. And yeah,
What were you booked
and
for?
I still wasn't ashamed. I was like, don't you have other
What were
things
the
to do?
charges, Elaine? What were the charges?
Well, it was prostitution.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, so that's how that happened. And I, I
What
still
came of
wasn't,
it? What came of it, dear?
well, I still did not, I still felt like I had a right to do what I wanted to do. And I
Indeed.
continued to, and although I stopped advertising, I did continue to see regular clients. And then, and then with until I met someone, one of my clients, he, yeah, he came to me because I also was putting up life coaching at that time. I was natural. I've always been a catalyst for change. And I thought, okay, I'll just take an online course. That way I'll be legitimately a life coach. Uh, and so I was also doing life coaching in the intimacy realm. And so a man visited me and, he, yeah, he needed my help, but I also sensed that he could help me leave the fringes of society that I was now on. You know, he was a successful business.
How's that?
Well, I was
Tell me
sitting
more about the
across.
fringe of
Yeah.
society.
Okay. So, right. So I was gainfully employed at one time with, regular paycheck, health benefits. Now I'm a sex worker, and I don't talk about my work to anybody. I'm considered, a fringe society person, someone who doesn't do mainstream, who does something that is, not acceptable. You don't discuss it. Um, as helpful as it may be to society,
Hmm.
it is, not acceptable. That's the bottom line. And I can think deeper into that and understand those. Yeah, for sure, I can understand why it's not legal, and we're
Hmm.
not going to go down that road. But but you know, I I wanted I didn't want to be on the fringe. I wanted to move closer back into where I could present myself
Hmm.
and uh, as a professional
Okay.
instead of, hiding behind something else and
Yeah.
so, yeah, so that's what it was because I had, three college degrees at this point. And to pretend that I was less than was bothering me,
Hmm. Where
you
was
know?
that coming from? Do you think that was coming from yourself internally, or was it coming from
No,
the sort of
it,
projection of society?
you got it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the projection of society. I thought society puts me into this, classification,
Yes.
and therefore it silences me. And no one wants to listen to me because if they were to ask what I do, and I say I'm a sex worker, they would immediately shut down. So that's what I was up against.
I
And
wouldn't shut down. I
but
don't
but
shut down with that kind of
but
stuff.
also, I
Yes.
really wasn't exercising good judgment. I was putting myself at risk, you
Okay.
know?
Okay.
So that
There
too
is that
wasn't,
component. There is that
yeah,
component.
even though it was my home, and I would never go to someone else's or meet them at a hotel. I just, I felt safe because it was my home. Nobody knew if I had cameras or anything. Um, but still, I was at risk, and I was getting yeast infections.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I said, this is not good. And then when I met him, uh, fate, I knew fate was playing its hand. And when you grow up as a survivor, your intuition is very fine tuned. And so it said to me, my intuition, my higher self was like, okay, you can help this man. He can help you. It's not going to be easy. It's your choice. You either in or out. And I decided I was in. So, yeah, so we got to know one another. We would then get romantically involved, and we were together for 12 years. And during the course of that, I, did leave the sex work. But I stayed on as a surrogate because with the surrogacy, you do lots of um, massages and touch just to familiarize someone with,
Hmm.
yeah, so that was different. I continued the intimacy coaching.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's sacred work
it is,
when
it is.
done from a place of consciousness,
Hmm.
intention, all of that. Um, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how, ED is not as complex as society would, but it's not to be fixed with a pill. There are so many men where just peeling back the layers of the onion, uh, uncovering their perspective and helping them to develop a different perspective, a holy one
Yes.
for
Yes.
their body.
Yes.
So touch your body, thank your penis, cup it, breathe
Yes.
deeply, and turn off the porn, that's dense. It's so pulling you
Right.
down. Yeah.
Right.
And so,
Well, it's all evoking and it's all visual. And so it's
yeah,
actually taking consciousness into the eyes and not embodied at all. So there's a
right. It
huge
stays in the
discrepancy and
mental.
split. Yeah.
Yes, it's all mental. And the body is so not, and the spirit are energy, moving energy, right? And so, yeah, so men will shut down if they, watching porn has caused so many problems for men
Yes.
and women
Yeah.
because then again, the perspective of objects is also something to be overcome and to
Hmm.
be
Indeed.
re-examined.
Yeah.
No, you're not an object. Neither is the woman. You're not a
Yes.
thing. Yeah. So just helping with that perspective can the penis can start responding again, and also like if I spoke with we peel back some onions. So when did this begin? It began a week after I was with a woman that I met at a bar, and I really didn't want to be with her, but we went back to her place, and I kind of did it anyway. And I was like, okay, so you put your penis in a very low vibrating environment, a toxic one.
Yes.
And now, your body, especially your penis, is saying,
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
I'm
no,
not
no, no,
going,
no, no.
you're
The
not doing that
body
to me.
knows.
Yeah, you're not doing that to me anymore. And I'm going to make sure you don't do it. I'm going to shut down. He embraced humility and apologized to his penis, to his body, to his being for lacking integrity to walk away from that situation.
That
And
is
he
so
began to
cool.
respond again.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Wow. See, because it just is so clear that there is this discrepancy between the masculine and feminine, men and women, regarding sexual dysfunction, that just we're all so overstimulated in so many ways that it's traumatizing. It's input overload, and quite often the wrong kind of input that's toxic, unhealthy, that's filled with yuck, low vibration energies. So wow, I really appreciate you sharing that story, because we need more of that. We need more of conscious sexuality. And in order to do that, on both, in both cases, men and women, we need to unpack all of the shame inducing stuff, the traumas, and do it from a loving place. And we need that hand holding.
And that was another premise for doing the role plays.
Mhm.
Men would come to me or call me and tell me they could not discuss this with their
Of
partners,
course not.
because they would risk breakdown of you want to dress like a woman? Who did I marry? Or yeah, and so
Yeah.
they would come to my place. They would even have clothing or sent here that I would keep aside, and when they came here they would dress up. There were different fantasies that if I wasn't comfortable with it, I wasn't going to do it. But one, I got a call, do you do CBT? And I'm like, well, I'm not really in the world of kink, so I'm just new at this. Could you tell me what that is? That often would happen. I was getting an education as I was
I love
as
it.
I
I
was
love it.
as I had the banner up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's what a life artist does. That's what a survivor does. It's like,
Yes.
oh, this sounds good. No, we,
Yeah.
we don't do any checks and balances or market research.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah,
That's a great point that you bring up, because I know part of my story is I was part of the conscious BDSM community in San Francisco for many years, and it's like, I think back to it, I'm like, what was I doing? And it was supposedly conscious, but in that part of my life, you talk about pushing through that cellophane envelope of,
mm-hmm.
can I really do this? Is this
Oh
okay? In
yeah,
order to like really unwind our shame-based society around things that are just innate within us, and I'm not giving a pass to massive perversions and harm and
no,
violence against
no, right,
women,
right,
children, men. I'm not giving that a pass, okay? Because those are definitive evils. But when we're exploring the edges of our sexuality, the edges of pleasure, the edges of um, becoming one with the universe, as I've so often heard people describe it to me, that bliss state, whether it's sexual or not, we have to be able to, I think, explore the edges of what turns us on, what repulses us,
Yes, yes. I was
what makes us shake in our boots going,
right.
ooh, I am like being really
Yeah,
naughty, and being able to sit in that naughty without this horrifying, soul-crushing judgment.
yeah. And I haven't thought about the feelings, but when you are pushing your sexual boundaries, it yeah, it is so interesting to see how your mind will say, okay, 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 no, no.
Yes, yes. We have these little governors that are
Yeah,
like,
yeah, right.
inserting themselves.
No, but actually that is good because you test. You're testing the
Yes,
water.
yes.
I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this. And then you're, I'm not going to try that. No, no,
Hmm.
no, no, no.
Yeah.
So it's your own personal comfort level. And yeah, and it's such a valuable thing because many people get married, and they haven't explored and they really feel like what what's so interesting about life? Well, it's not that interesting if you haven't really like
Yes.
thought, taken yourself on
Yeah.
adventures.
Or if you're going to get stuck in rote, routine, unconscious, this is just what we do, and we've been doing it since high school. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm
oh, I know.
sorry.
I never, right, yeah.
Stop.
But
Stop it.
I often do find that, it's the men, and I think there's logical reasons for that because of how they grow up with their genitals right in their hands practically.
Yes.
And so they have this relationship that women really don't don't get to experience because we don't even really know where everything is until we're at a certain age. I mean, we can
Yes.
feel this
We're not
emotion.
allowed to know where anything is.
Well, yes. As I was growing up, even as early as 5 years old, as I say in the book, I masturbated because it felt good, and nobody told me what. In my childhood, there was like no one spoke to me about anything. My mother was in her own world, father working, and it was just like we did our own thing. So if something felt good, I was going to do it. It made sense to me.
Mhm.
And yeah, and so I would the masturbation was a regular part of my childhood, and but a lot of women it's not, and they don't know anything about. And but even though my even anatomy though, it wasn't until I was learning anatomy and physiology in college that I realized I had three openings, that there was a urethra opening, and I'm like, I have three holes. And and then I even taught medical terminology to women who in their 40s, as when I worked in the hospitals, and even a woman nowadays didn't know. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, it's so because it's so hard to see and everything.
Right.
Whereas a
Right.
man,
Right.
and then the other thing is, getting to know your fantasies that give you a charge. And
Yes.
women, yeah,
Yes.
they're afraid. They don't let their minds go down those roads a lot of times. So women our age, now the new
Yeah.
generation is different, right?
Oh, that the gloves are off
Yeah,
at this
but
point.
I'm not so sure how that might be excessive in the other extreme now
Indeed, indeed.
because
And it's the pendulum swing of
yeah.
going here and then there and everywhere, and everything goes. And that's okay, you know. I've definitely gone there.
Yeah, and reckless sex, there's something to be said for it, for sure. But the difference is when, as in our generation, we weren't expected to have the sex drive of a man. Porn has pushed this new campaign that a woman's sex, and have to re-educate a lot of men that we do not typically have that drive that you have.
Hmm.
Yours is front and center, constant, every day. Ours is somewhat dormant until it kicks in, you know? It's not the same. So, and then this expectation that we have to please men, I think porn sends the wrong message there. I was not raised to please a man. And so that I have learned that women think they have to perform on men,
Mhm.
oral, as a casual thing. And that was just not even a part of the narrative I didn't even know what it was until I was 18. And I was like, huh? Are you kidding me?
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
Elaine, I'm looking at the time and
Okay.
we have gone on and it has been so much fun. Um, we've got 5 minutes.
Okay. Oh, 5 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the thing.
Okay.
Self-awareness. You cannot learn too much about yourself.
Yes.
And also, uh, this spiritual work is not woo-woo. Spiritual work is practical. Okay. It
Indeed.
helps you manage life. And I would highly recommend Kundalini yoga. You don't have to know what the energy about it even is. Just know that when you do that form of yoga, you are clearing out a lot of drama and a lot of leftover stuff. And I would highly recommend Yogi Gems, GEMS. She's on YouTube. She has a wonderful variety to choose from. So that's my pitch for you, that you become,
Cool.
empowered that way.
Cool. So,
And buy my book. And buy
yes,
my
we'll have all of your links in the show notes below. So what are you going to be up to in the next in the near future?
Yeah,
Right now.
I'm looking forward to I'm looking forward to more to doing podcast guesting regularly. And I'm looking forward to perhaps getting back into sex surrogacy more than I
Okay.
have been. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Cool. Awesome.
I
It has
don't think I'll be
been
writing another book, but we'll
it
never
has
never
been
know. Don't say never.
delightful. It's been
Thank you.
delightful to have you. I love your spunk and your spirit. I love that you're just like, I'm here. You're showing up. You're showing up. And that's what you've done the entirety of your life is just show up and see what unfolds. And I love that you've utilized the guidance of the universe, synchronicities, the touchstones, the signs,
Hmm.
the signs from
Yeah.
the universe, and have connected the dots. I really enjoyed your share about how you went about getting inspired and getting the really the cojones to write the book and to do it piecemeal, to receive the prompts from Om Daily. I mean, that is just wonderful, because, and those are so good that to start that as a daily practice, it's like the book just wrote itself.
It did. At one point, I realized, I said, "Oh my God, after 10 stories, I think I have a book." And that's what the prophecy was. It was like, you're going to write a book. And when you're in the flow, it doesn't include angst. There is no room. There's no angst.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
it, it's
yeah,
it just becomes that's what's resonating.
yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. All right, my love.
All right, my love.
Thank you so much. And that's it for today, kids. So until we meet again, here is to your love, truth, and beauty. Mwah! Ciao, Bellas. Bye.